All right, so here we are. Let's get started. So, my name is Imran. I'm with Pillar to Post Home Inspectors. Okay. Thank you so much for giving me the opportunity to go over the Radon presentation, and thank you for being here as well. Okay. So me and my team is certified through NRSP, which stands for National Radon Safety Board. And the certification requires us to follow a certain guidelines, which we follow, and our devices and our technicians and our lab goes through certification process every year, and we maintain our certification by making sure everything is compliant with their standards. Okay, so today we're going to be doing a radon presentation. And this is going to be an interactive presentation. If you have any comments to make, okay, any stories to share, or any questions, you can always speak up and I will be happy to answer those questions. All right. So let's get started. First, I'm going to show you a small video about us, what to expect when you book an inspection from Pillar to Post.
Hello, and welcome to Pillar to Post Home Inspectors. This short video will help you understand what to expect from your Pillar to Post home inspection and what we'll actually do so that you'll have the best possible inspection experience and outcome. The purpose of the home inspection is to educate you and provide peace of mind about the home you are choosing to buy, sell, or live in. With your choice of our home inspection packages and from our valuable added services, we'll provide you with an unbiased evaluation about things to be aware of, issues that require attention, and insights you'll be happy to learn about. At the scheduled time, we'll meet you at the property. Before we begin our work, we want to understand if you have any questions up front. Hearing your expectations and concerns makes for a successful inspection without surprises. As we conduct the inspection, please feel free to ask any questions along the way. An important thing to remember is that this is a visual inspection. If we can't see or safely access anything we normally inspect, we can't evaluate them. Also, all utilities must be on to do a thorough inspection. The three main areas we inspect are the exterior of the home, the major systems that keep the home working, and the interior. Our outdoor shoes will never touch the floors inside. We'll pay special attention to the kitchen and baths, where we'll operate and inspect sinks, showers, tubs, and toilets, and major built-in appliances. We'll inspect the fireplace for condition and safety, and check a representative sample of functional items. We'll also identify and tag utility shutoff valves for you. If it's accessible and safe, we'll inspect the attic and the basement or crawl space. Please be aware that attic access may be located in private spaces. We'll print your report on site with photos and our complete notes in a binder. We'll also email it to you. Your Pillar to Post home inspector will review the key findings with you and answer any questions you have. Only then is our inspection considered complete. Our work is all about ensuring confident home ownership, and we thank you for choosing Pillar to Post home inspectors. We look forward to seeing you in the coming days and delivering an inspection that meets all of your expectations and needs. Whether it's your first time working with us or you're an old friend of Pillar to Post home inspectors.
All right, that was our short presentation for what to expect. Now we're going to start our presentation, so I'm going to try to see if I can get to that. Okay. Okay, so this is our radon presentation. Like I said, if you have any comments to make, any questions, any stories to share, please don't hesitate to speak up, and we'll make it interactive and interesting for everybody. Okay. So I don't think that this is the remote for that, so we're gonna just continue to click. All right, so the first thing that that our goal for this presentation is that during the presentation you will learn what radon is and where it comes from. All right. The effect radon can have on your health, which is very important. What levels of radon are dangerous, okay? And how a house can be tested for radon. So you need to know how the houses are tested. So that will be something that we'll be covering during this presentation as well. How you can reduce the amount of radon in a house. So once you have identified that there is higher concentration of radon, we will let you know how the remediation is usually done. And the presentation will also go over the general cost of the remediation as well. Okay? So what is radon? That's the most important question, so that you guys know why is it important to be identified. All right? So the radon gas was discovered by a German scientist about 125 years ago. And the guy's name was Friedrich Dorn. Okay, so it was discovered then. And it occurs naturally in the environment in low concentrations. Radon comes from uranium in the soil. As uranium breaks down, it ultimately produces radon. Radon is invisible and odorless. All right, so it is a radioactive gas. So any radioactive gas, when you breathe in, it reacts with your cells inside your lung and causes them to mutate, and that's how the cancer is developed in the lungs, and that's why the radon gas is dangerous, and it's a byproduct of uranium. So uranium exists everywhere. It's outside. Whenever you walk around in the parking lot, in your garden, the uranium is everywhere. The concentration is low, and the radon gas is everywhere as well because of that reason. Okay? And it is invisible and odorless. You know, I get asked this question a lot. You know, it's a house, I don't smell any musty odor. Oh, I don't smell anything. So, sir, radon does not have any odor, and it's invisible as well. So the only way to detect it is to do the testing. Okay? So uranium is not found in significant quantities in most areas, but traces of uranium exist in soil everywhere. So like I said, you know, uranium exists everywhere. Just to give you an example, if you see a dump truck driving in front of you, it will contain about half teaspoon of uranium. Okay, so even a dump truck will have a uranium in it. It's just that the concentration is so low, it does not have any health hazards. But when the concentration goes up, then the uranium gets mined in from those areas. So the concentration of uranium can be high in certain rock formations, and while others may not have it. And when it's identified that the uranium concentration is high, those areas are used for mining. So you mine uranium and use it for everything that we do. So this is a picture. This is an illustration of radon coming out of the ground. Okay. So the radon, it's part of the uranium, breaks down into radium, and then radium produces radon gas, which comes out of the ground, and then it's everywhere. As you can see, it's outside, parks, landscapes, everywhere you'll see radon gas. So this illustration also points out that the radon can exist in the water as well. Okay, so this radon gas that comes out of the ground, rock formation, can be in the water. Now, when you have a private well in the house, that well may contain radon concentration that could be hazardous for humans. All right, so, and what happens is that when you take the water out of the well, the water gets agitated, and when the water gets agitated, it produces radon, it produces radon gas. And when you're taking a shower, all of this water is coming down, and that radon gas is coming out, and you're breathing in. In most cases, people think that there is no radon in water, but if you have somebody who is immunocompromised and have health problems, and especially if they have cancer or something like that, it's a good idea to get a water tested as well. The procedure for water is completely different. It requires a different device. It requires a different time duration as well, because we have to send that sample to the lab and they will analyze it. We can't do it in-house.
Would that be only Imran for well water, or are we talking about water regularly?
So that question is when you have radon in water, and if it's a river, for example, right? Because the water is agitated, it's moving, the concentration of radon is significantly lower. Our concern starts happening when when you have water coming from a private well, and that well is having a water that is just sitting there. Okay. And then when you pull the water out, then the water gets agitated and then it causes the radon gas to come out of the water. Okay. So that's the reason why. And this illustration very clearly shows that the radon gas comes out and it's in the water here and coming out of the cracks of the rock formation. Okay. So what happens when the radon particles are there? So radon decays to form tiny radioactive particles that may remain suspended in the air. Okay. Now, every radioactive particle has a half-life. If you're not aware of half-life is any particle, any material, it decays and becomes smaller and smaller. Okay. The half-life of radon particle is 3.8 days. So for 3.8 days, the particle that has come out, that has formed after the radon has decayed, that will stay suspended in the house. Okay, so these particles may be breathed into the lungs and causes damage to tissues. So in the modern construction, that when we go out, I don't know, you got yourself exposed to a pre-drywall inspection or not, you will see that all the exterior walls, everything is so tight. All the cracks and crevices are filled with caulking, spray foam insulation. The idea is to prevent the outside air to mix up with the air inside and make the house very energy efficient. And because of that reason, the radon concentration keeps going up. Okay, we're going to talk about a little bit about the stack effect in the house as well in next few presentations. But here it will tell you that the radon decays into a tiny radioactive particles, and they may remain suspended in the air because of the half-life. And these particles may be breathed into the lungs, and they react and cause lung cancer. Okay, can somebody tell me what is the second most common cause of lung cancer?
Smoke, secondhand smoke.
Yeah, smoking is number one though. Yeah, number two. Yeah, number one. Okay, and number two is radon. Yeah, so that's the amount of negative health effects the radon has. And can somebody tell me what is the number of people that die every year because of radon inhalation? Is it 2,500? Is it 11,000? Or is it 21,000? That is correct. That is correct. Yeah, good guess. 21,000 people die every year because of radon inhalation. So radon exists everywhere, and I'm going to touch on a little bit about our area as well, which areas are zone 1, zone 2, and zone 3, where the radon level is going to be high, and you will have a better understanding so that you can advise your clients accordingly as well. But EPA states that every house should be tested for radon, okay? So
basement or without basement?
So yeah, basement or without basement, it does not matter. It does not matter. Every house should be tested, and in cases, we have seen houses constructed on slab on grade, and the radon concentration was found to be high. And yeah, you know how people say, oh, you know what, my neighbor does not have radon, I'm not going to have radon, or my community doesn't have radon. There's no such thing. Yeah, there's no such thing. There's rock formation underneath the ground. Your foundation might be on a section of the rock that has a lot of radon. So
like condo buildings, they say there's no need for it.
Yeah.
Because it's like
Yeah,
20
exactly.
stories high.
Yeah. So absolutely, if it's 20-story high, as a radon specialist, I'm not going to suggest that you should not get it done, because there's a stuff called stack effect. Okay, stack effect causes. I'll explain that to you in a later screen. But likeliness of them of having higher radon level on higher elevation is lower than compared to the one that's on the ground. That's for sure. But EPA says every house should be tested. So I will add that thing with my comment. All right, so here we go. Radon in the environment. There are very low levels of radon virtually everywhere in the environment. Low levels are not a concern, all right? They are everywhere. They're not a concern. A concentration of radon in your house is what we are worried about, okay? Because, you spend so much time in the house, especially you sleep in the house, right? So you sleep closer to the ground, right? If you're in a bedroom, you're like 3 feet away from the ground, and this radon concentration is you breathe in throughout the night, and that can cause adverse effect to your health. Even in the areas where the ambient radon level are low, it's possible to build up significant level in a house. This is where the stack effect comes. Now all right, so let's go over this. So this is the unit of radon measurement unit, picocuries per liter. When you see PCI/L, so picocuries is the unit, and per liter of air is what we are taking this average, okay? So picocuries per liter. So when radon is measured, it is measured in units called picocuries per liter or PCI per liter. So, and you can see that the average outdoor level is 0.3 picocuries per liter. So this average comes from all over the country. So it doesn't mean that our area will have the same concentration. In some areas, the outdoor level will be higher, and in some areas, it's going to be lower. We touched on that before as well. Some areas can have higher radon, uranium concentration, and those areas can be mined, and then hence the radon level is going to be high as well. Okay, so. So how does it gets in the house is important, right? Okay, so we're gonna go to the next screen, and this is a illustration of a foundation wall, all right? This is a very, very good illustration of the foundation wall. You will see this is the form of construction that you will see in most houses over here, all right? So you have this foundation wall, which is keeping the dirt and the ground away. And then this is the slab underneath. This is the footing right here. And this is the weeping tile. All right. So, when you go into a house in the basement, you see the sump pit, right? Where is that water comes from? It comes from this weeping tiles. All right. So the idea to have a sump pit in the house is to make sure that there is reduced water buildup next to the foundation wall, all right? So when after the foundation is poured, this weeping tile is installed, then the dirt is backfilled. And the backfilling is done by putting some rock, different forms of rock, which causes this water to slowly trickle down and gets accumulated here. And this pipe has a slope, and that pipe brings all the water into your sump pit. And when the sump pit fills up, it throws the water out. Now, in this illustration, it clearly states that it tells you where actually radon comes in the house. All right, 90% of the time, radon comes from inside the basement, inside the cracks and crevices of the basement. Now, when you have this footing sitting right over here, and you have a foundation wall here, this type of slab is called a floating slab. Okay, so this is poured after the footing and everything else is poured. Okay, so this has a crack and gap, and there's a pebble and rock that they fill underneath this slab, which supports this concrete on top, and that pebble, those rocks collect radon, and that radon gets directed. When this house ages and settles, it'll develop cracks here on the slab, because that's how it happens, because there are no expansion joints here. When concrete settles, it ages, it always forms cracks, and those cracks will create a path to come inside the house, for radon gas to come inside the house. Okay? So does it make sense? All right? Any questions here?
And one quick question. So if a house basement is not finished, So there's a more high, the expectation is more higher than, or does that make a difference?
No, no. There's no difference on that. That's a amazing question. There's no difference if you have if you have finished basement or not finished basement. I would suggest if you have finished basement, it's even more important to do the radon testing because there's going to be somebody spending a good amount of time down there. All right. So now if you have this is a typical illustration for a foundation that has a basement. Now, if you have a house without a basement, right? If it's a slab on grade construction, the only difference is going to be the footing is going to be there, everything. The wall is going to be a much shorter wall. Okay, there will be a wooden frame on top of it. Okay, but overall, in a general terms, the construction is going to be very similar, and the cracks are going to form the same way as well, and the gas will come out from those cracks and crevices. All right, so you will see that radon will come into the house with slab on grade construction as well. Okay, this is actually interesting. Now that we know what radon is, let's look at the radon level. All right. So, according to EPA, the average indoor radon level is 1.2 picocuries per liter, and this radon level is coming from all over the country. All right. So there are some areas that have very low levels. Some areas have high levels as well. So the data comes from their website, and it says that approximately this is the number that you will see if you give an average to the entire country. Then typical indoor level ranges from 0.2 to 2.7. This is what you will typically see all over. Okay, some of them are going to be 0.8, some going to be 2.7. Indoor action level is 4 picocuries per liter. The important thing is that this is an actionable level. It doesn't mean that if it's at 3.5, the house is completely safe, okay? It's just that the expert came with an opinion that when you get the radon level more than 5 or equal to 4, more than 4 or equal to 4, then the radon level is high enough that there should be a radon mitigation system put in the house. Now, if the level is less than 4 for 3.5, if somebody's going to be spending a lot of time, kids are going to be spending a lot of time in the basement, again, it's a great idea to put a radon mitigation system. All right. So sometimes when we send a report out, and if we use simultaneous sensors, if we see an average that is 3.8, 3.6, and we will write in our email that we still recommend that you put radon mitigation system. Okay, although it's not an actionable limit, but we will still recommend that the radon mitigation system or radon ventilation system should be installed in the house. Okay, and the target indoor level after remediation is 2 picocuries per liter. So we do get calls all the time that get the radon testing done after the radon ventilation system has been put in, and sometimes it comes down at 3.5. We still go back and say, check with the radon company, make sure that they have all the cracks and crevices sealed up. But when it comes to 2 or anything below 2, then we are confident that the level is going to be safe enough for everybody to live in there. So we don't put any other comments then. Okay, so the target is 2. Sometimes it can even go down to 1 or even 0.8, 0.5 as well, depending on how good a system is and how well the installation has been done. Okay. So 4 is actionable level, doesn't mean that is the only level. It can be, even if it's less than 4, you want to do the remediation. Sometimes weather plays a very important role with the radon level as well. Okay, can somebody tell me what is a beneficial home improvement that can also lead to increased danger from radon? What is one beneficial home improvement that can also lead to increased danger from radon? So I can give you options. Okay, adding a house, adding a deck. Okay, screen and porch. Okay, adding insulation, or adding an air conditioning system. What would be your option?
Visioning system.
Okay, adding an huh? Yeah, so insulation is the right answer. Hooray! How is that? That's a very good question. So basically, what insulation does is it encapsulates the air. Okay, creates a barrier. Okay, so it closes the leakages, it closes the openings, so the air stays inside more, and that's the reason why the radon level goes up. And I'll explain to you. You'll understand more that the house ventilate from the top, and the air comes in from the bottom.
So is it a bad thing to add more insulation? Because we're thinking.
It's just going to increase the likeliness of having higher level of radon. It's great to have insulation because the benefit is huge, the energy is good, and you're more comfortable inside, but it causes a likeliness of having radon. It increases the likeliness of that. So yeah, insulation is very good answer.
Would it be insulation throughout the house, or are we only talking about basements?
So yeah, this is a question I think I would.
Would you, would that increase in more if it was only the basement you were in?
So most of the time, this question was referred to the attic insulation, okay? Because you don't open up drywalls and start putting insulation on the side, okay? And the stack effect. Yeah, that client is doing it. That's okay. It's probably not going to affect.
Insulation was really, really
Yeah,
bad, so
it's going to have the likeliness of having radon is going to go
they
up.
actually put the radon system into.
Yeah, that's great.
Because it was at the level like 3.2. He said because he reads so much about it. He's like, I'm gonna put it because my kids play in the basement all the time.
I would suggest radon. See, one more thing I wanted to make a point that radon is not something that's going to have an effect right away. Okay, it's not something that you have high radon level. Oh, I was in the basement, I was exposed to 8. Let me go get myself checked out. It doesn't work that way. So radon exposure or radioactive exposure or radiation exposure, if long period of time causes problems. All right, so.
And you're staying in the area for that period of time, or you were exposed to it and you're not there anymore? I guess I would say you stay in the environment.
Yeah. So if you're living in a basement which has high radon levels for 5 years, then likeliness of you developing something in the later part of the life or at that time is higher than somebody who was exposed for a year. Yeah. So time duration is very important when it comes to radioactive materials. So active level is the level at which the EPA suggests remediation. The action level is the level at which the EPA suggests remediation. We talked about that already. This does not mean anything less than 4 is fine and anything more is bad. We talked about that as well, that anything closer to 4, let's get it done, And then 4 picocuries per liter is an agreed upon acceptable risk. EPA encourages you to consider remediation for levels between 2 and 4. So our target is 2. Anything goes over 2, you should recommend that remediation should be done.
Remediation can be in different methods, right?
There's a passive and active, which is the most common one, and we'll just touch on that as well, real quickly, very, very shortly. Okay. Right here, smokers and non-smokers factor. Smoking factor is very, very important. If somebody is a smoker, it increases the risk of lung cancer. Smoking also increases your risk of lung cancer due to radon alone. And smoking and radon exposure has a synergistic effect. Okay, so if you're smoking and going and getting yourself exposed to radon, you're in trouble. And this is an illustration. This is a comparative analysis of smoker and somebody who's never smoked. Just to give you a couple of points, important one. If you see over here, there were 1,000 people that were exposed to 20 picocuries of radon, and 36 developed cancer. Here, this group of people were smokers, and they were exposed to the same amount of radon, and 260 people developed cancer. So the factor of smoking factor is huge. If somebody is a smoker and they get exposed to radon, your likeliness of developing lung cancer is high. That's why 21,000 people die every year because of lung cancer. So this is the one that I wanted to talk about. Okay, so this is a map that comes from EPA. All right, this map shows where the likeliness of radon is going to be high. The whole country is divided into 3 zones: Zone 1, Zone 2, and Zone 3. Okay, in Zone 1, average indoor values are greater than 4. Okay, Zone 2, average indoor values are between 2 and 4. Okay, and Zone 3, average indoor values are less than 2 picocuries per liter. So we are situated right over here, and you can see how many counties are in either 1 or 2 zone. Can somebody tell me which zone Prince William County comes into?
I think it's the highest, right?
Yeah, zone 2. Zone 2. Very good. Zone 2 is the Prince William County. All right. And also Loudoun County. Loudoun County is zone 2 as well. So just imagine how much likeliness the radon level is going to be 2 to 4. So it doesn't mean that it's not going to be over 4. It can be over 4 as well, but likeliness to have something in that range is high. Okay. And then, okay, can somebody tell me Zone 1, which county in our area is Zone 1? Or I would say, which zone is Stafford County? Yeah, Zone 1. Stafford County is Zone 1. So get your house tested for radon, man. Yeah.
Haymarket is also, Gainesville is also Prince William, right?
Yeah.
I've seen quite a lot of activity.
Yeah.
And then the part is one house will have like the whole system, the other didn't have anything. So it varied from house to house, all new builds.
Absolutely. It varies from house to house. You cannot, and your neighbor will test and no radon, and your house will come high. It means nothing. You have to get it tested to know. Spotsylvania County is also Zone 1. So if you have house in Fredericksburg area, Spotsylvania County, that's all Zone 1. Stafford County is all Zone 1. And Prince William and Loudoun is Zone 2. And Fairfax County, most of it is Zone 1. All right, so that's lower, okay? But there are certain areas, if you zoom in, there are certain areas in that county that are Zone 1 as well, okay? So that was one thing. Any questions here? No? Okay.
That's my house now. For like 13 years.
Okay. So if I'm a testing company, right? If I go out, do a test, okay, and I'm doing one test I did in summertime and one test I did in wintertime. Which test you think is likely to have higher radon levels?
I would say summer.
Okay, you decided to go with winter. You are right. Winter is the time. Yeah, winter is the time. Yeah, because the temperature differential is such that, like I said, the air goes out of the house from the top and comes into the house from the bottom. So it creates a stack effect. Okay, so you have winter time, you will likeliness of having higher radon level is high. Like if it's raining outside, you will have more likeliness of having radon concentration higher. So radon testing are inexpensive and readily available. Short-term tests are most commonly used for screening purposes. Tests may be a couple of days only, all right? So that's why we do 48-hour tests. And long-term tests could take several months as well. So a lot of times, our business and our testing is focused on real estate transaction, right? Real estate transaction. If you have radon level, if you suspect, I would suggest that you can get a very less expensive device from Amazon or online, which tests for radon all the time. You can put it in the basement and you can leave it running. Okay, there are devices available. We are trying to incorporate them into our business as well. We're still working on small details that we will do a quick 1-hour test right at the time of the inspection. Okay, if somebody hasn't requested for radon testing, we'll just put that device while we're doing the inspection, come back, see if the radon level is high, then we will suggest that let's get the proper radon testing done for you. Okay, but you can install that device if you have concern about radon concentration in your home. You can install that device, and that can really let you know what the radon level is. So long-term tests could be several months or even several years as well. Okay, so short-term tests, the most commonly used devices are electrodes. This is what we use, okay? Charcoal canisters and alpha track are also devices that are used for short-term tests. All of these devices have their own advantages and disadvantages. But the most stable one and the most readily used is electrodes, and we use them as well. They are certified through NRSP. They go through annual exposure to radon chambers, and our testers and readers are all calibrated every year through NRSP certified lab as well. So the lab that we use is called Radolac, and it is in Maryland that we use for certifications. And this is how the device looks, okay? And this is how the electrodes are. And very simple. The sensors are inside. You open this up, and then it gets exposed to the radon level.
And they come in different shapes, and Ron, I've seen the bigger box.
Yeah, so these sensors are inside that box.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so these are the sensors that are placed inside the box, and they get exposed, and then we take them back and check them out, scan it, and let you know what the radon levels are. All right, so this is another device that lots of people use. This is called continuous radon monitors. The difference between the only, I wouldn't say the difference, the principle behind which this works on is that it takes readings after every hour. Okay, after every hour, it takes the reading, and then at the end of the test, you give the average of all the readings that you have. Okay, and if it goes over 4, then then we report whatever it is. Really, short-term testing is closed door and windows, and keep them closed as much as possible. Okay, so you can have a simple living environment, so you can open the door, go in and out, but do not ventilate the house. Okay, during the test, it's important that do not operate fan that bring air in from outside. So you should not have a whole house fan or something like that working. Okay, so you want to keep a normal living environment inside. And the test cannot be done in the kitchen or bathroom, okay, and at least 20 inches above the floor, so we cannot put it on the ground, okay, and away from drafts and exterior walls. We can't put it right on the exterior wall or where the air conditioner or in the cabinet door. This is very important. We have experienced this ourselves as well, that our technician by mistake put it on the door where there's an air handler inside, and because that air handler is constantly sucking air, it's bringing all this air in, and now you have a false positive radon concentration. So we had to go back and do the test again, and then the test came out to be much lower than what it came the first time, because that pressure was constantly pulling the air from underneath the slab, and that's why the radon level came out high. So these are all the parameters that we have to follow in order to call this test to be valid. Okay, so cannot be placed outside. So if you have a counter or something outside, you can't put it. You cannot even put the test on a granite countertop. Granite produces a lot of radon. Yeah, radon. So you cannot put sensors on granite as well. So
That's not a good material to have in house.
No. It's not like that. It's not like that. It's just for the testing, because the sensors are very sensitive. Even if we get like 1 point extra for no reason, then it's gonna be a problem. Yeah, we don't want that. So we don't put on the countertops, which is granite. We want to put it on wood or something like that, but no granite countertops. Okay, so we're gonna talk about radon reduction techniques. Okay, average cost is $1,500 to $2,500. Not very expensive, pretty easily affordable. Okay. All right, so there's one method that you do, which you mentioned as well, that if you reduce the number of paths for radon to get into the house, that's one way of remediation. And what they do is you'll seal all the cracks in the foundation and the gaps that are in the slab. So all the slab, you can seal them up, And that's one way of remediation. If you seal everything up down in the basement, which is not possible, especially if the house is already constructed and and it's a finished basement, there are cracks and crevices that you will not going to be able to access. So that's one way, but it is the advantage is that it's much less expensive than the sub-slab ventilation system. The sub-slab ventilation system is what you see most of the time, because you see that fan gets connected to the area underneath the slab, and when the fan works, it creates a negative pressure and all the radon gas goes outside. That's what the principle behind that is. And this is what it talks about sub-slab ventilation. So provide an alternative path for radon. So the idea is that it creates an alternative path for the radon. So rather than coming through the cracks, even if the cracks are there, if there are not too many, then it's just going to create an alternative path. It's not going to let the radon to go out from those cracks. It'll create a much easier pathway for the radon to ventilate outside. So the technique will depend on the construction style and radon level. Obviously, if the radon level is high, you want to put an active system or this type of system. If the radon level is low, then you can probably seal all the cracks and crevices and still the radon level will go down. Okay? So maybe as simple as a pipe embedded in the in the slab, a passive ventilation, may include a power vent and a sump system. So we're going to go to the next screen. This is much better illustration. So when you have a passive sub-slab ventilation, okay, this pipe is sitting underneath this rock formation, then you have a plastic. You seal all of these cracks and crevices. It says right over here, gas penetration, permeable layer, sorry. It's going to be underneath. This is where the A is. B is plastic sheet. There's a plastic sheet on top of it. C is caulking. So all of these penetrations needs to be caulked, all right, sealed up. And then the D is vent pipe going out. And then E is electrical. That means all electricals needs to be sealed up as well. So it creates a path, and then the air and the radon will go outside. This is another way. This is power ventilated with sump pump. Okay, this is what you see normally. You have a sump pit here. It's top sealed. You have a fan. This is a suction motor, suction fan, and then the air gets ventilated outside. In this setup, you're creating a negative pressure, and all of this radon from underneath the slab is directed through this sump pit, and the fan pushes everything out. That's why it's very important that this pipe that is going straight up cannot terminate underneath the eave. You know, underneath the eave, you have soffit vents. You know, in the house, you have an overhang of the roof. If it terminates underneath, then that gas is going back into the attic. So you have to make a turn and ventilate above the roof line. These are the advantages and disadvantages of passive and active system. One point that I wanted to make was that if you have a passive system in a new construction, a lot of houses that are new construction, the builder install a passive system. It's a good idea to get the testing done even in those houses, because a lot of times when you have a passive system, you can just put a fan to make it as an active system, or if the radon level is not under control then. So here it says often worth trying passive system first and then retest. So that's what I'm saying when doing a real estate transaction. If you have a house that has a passive system, get it tested. You know, there's possible that the radon level is going to be high, especially, you know, if you're in zone 1. Yeah, exactly. So it's a good idea to get it tested. If radon level are brought down with a passive system, stick with that. Otherwise, add a suction fan if passive system does not reduce radon levels. Okay, so that would be okay. So this is the cost, $800 to $2,500 for the sub-slab system, and the passive system is similar as well. Okay, the only difference is that when you have active system, you'll have a cost of electricity every month as well, because there's a fan that will consume electricity. The last item is this, which I wanted to talk about a little bit. As you can see right here, the cost for radon mitigation system is $1,000 to $2,500 That's what we've been telling you right from the start, that this is approximately what you'll take, what it takes to get a radon mitigation system put in. When the houses are very big, okay, they will probably require two of them. Okay, if your house is really big and you have a big basement, then you will probably need two radon mitigation systems. Then the cost may go up to $2,500 or $3,000. And this is just a comparison that new furniture will cost this much, new roof will cost this much, upgraded electrical panel will cost this much. So if you compare all of these, radon mitigation system is not very expensive. It's pretty doable. That's about it. That's all I had with regards to the presentation. Any questions you have?
Thank you, Ron.
No questions?
Okay, so I have a question.
Okay, okay.
Now we have, as always, I love my questions. So
Of
now
course.
we have the system in, right? Should we keep on, like, systems can break down, right?
Yeah.
So any suggestion on that? Because I had a house that had the system in, and the basement wasn't completely finished. And when we did the testing, it came up high of 4.23. 4.2. So then the system was there, and I called the delivery company, and they said, yeah, we'll come and seal, or come and do a specific test, but we couldn't do it because we didn't own the house at the time. And then maybe something is wrong with the fan, maybe it's not working. Is there a general time frame or something
Yeah.
you would suggest right line?
Excellent question. What happens is that when the house settles, it develops cracks, all right? And those cracks becomes the pathway for the radon to come out. So if there's a new construction, and there was a radon mitigation system already there, it's possible that 5 years down the road, new cracks have appeared, and that's where the radon is coming in. Sometimes the caulking deteriorates as well, okay? And that could be a pathway for them to come inside as well, okay? Yeah, so just keep something like similar analogy, right? When the house is constructed, most of the builders will put termite treatments on the soil and on the wood framing as well. But as the house ages, the termite activity starts coming up again. So that's the reason why it's a good idea to have your house tested for radon after every few years. Okay, that way you will know. Okay. Yeah, and I talked about cold weather already. There's a stack effect happens because the ventilation of the warm air is from the top level and the air comes in from the bottom. So if you have a basement and you have a sealed air environment, then it's kind of like creates a negative pressure and pulls all this air from the basement to up as the warm air rises and seeps out of the attic. Because the house cannot be fully sealed, there's always going to be some openings where the air will be leaking out, okay? And that air goes out through the attic and causes this air to rise. And I talked about rain and storm as well. Okay, high radon is going to happen because of barometric pressure and precipitation. Okay, similarly, if you have snow on the ground, you will have likeliness of having radon levels goes up as well because you're preventing the radon to come out from the outside ground. Okay, and last point, and that is I come across a lot that there is no correlation between an old house and a new house and the radon levels. Okay, there is no relationship. You can have radon level high in new house, you can have low radon levels in older houses as well. So if somebody says, oh, my house is brand new, I don't need radon testing, then no, you will need radon testing because there's no guarantee. And in fact, newer houses are built much tighter than older houses. So there's going to be a much more concentration of radon.
So having a good ventilation, if you're living in the basement, right? I work in the basement all the time. So it's good. It's a good idea to have some ventilation. If you're there, like opening the windows, would that be a
cold weather? Doing that will be difficult. I think the best is to get the testing done. If you're living in the house and you want to buy a radon tester yourself, you can buy it and leave it there. It is pretty decent device. Okay, it'll tell you. And if it comes out to be 3, right, let's say, right, then you must get a proper radon testing done. Okay, we do continuous radon monitors as well, and we can give you a radon reading of a continuous radon monitor as well. We can keep it for a week, 10 days, and then we can come back and let you know what the radon level is. But those devices are pretty good too. Okay.
How much is it for that radon add-on? For higher, for the home inspection, and then we get a radon done?
So
Like it says.
yeah, if your client books a radon testing along with the home inspection, it's 175. Okay. If they go with standalone service, then it's I think 185 or 190. Okay, so it's just a little bit more because we have to send somebody over, and that person has to go twice and then do the analysis and let you know the radon level. So we do standalone for everything that all the additional services. For example, sewer scoping is something that we will be focusing on from next year as well. So we still do it, but we will be really putting a lot of effort in it. Sewer scoping is houses that your clients are purchasing. They need to know what the sewer line condition is from the house to the city. All right, so we will put a camera inside the sewer line and identify if there's any roots growing inside, if the pipes are damaged, cracked, leaking sewage, because all of that cost belongs to you, to the home buyer. So we will be putting a lot of efforts there too.
What is it that then this is what you do, and then what if, because if a house has a septic system by the county that we have to call in, and by the request of the buyer, that they wanted to make sure that the septic system worked. So they come in, they empty that. So they don't check that lining, what the services that you provide, or we have to call them by the county, and then we have to do separately.
So
How does it work?
Yeah. So our focus of service is for the houses that are on the city sewer lines. Okay.
Okay, for the
So
city sewer.
when you have a private septic system, then the mechanics, the science behind that is slightly different. Then it's a best idea to get a septic company come in, empty the tank, and take a look at that. And when they empty the tank, they will flush toilets and everything as well to see the passage is clear. And also, since it's your own ground, they will, when the septic company comes in, they'll look at the condition of the ground as well. So if you have a leaking sewer, then you will have very green grass. You're going to have softness on the ground. Okay. So those are all the evidence of leaking sewer line. So that would be something that a septic company will take care of. Our focus is going to be the line that goes from your home to the city.
That's a good thing.
Yeah, absolutely. We have come across situations where a lot of real estate agents, a lot of homeowners were surprised that their septic line was clogged, and sometimes you can do a jetting, and obviously that costs money. Doesn't necessarily mean that every time that we do a sewer scoping, you have to put a new sewer line. Sometimes it just requires cleaning. Okay, so. But at least we can find out, identify, and let our homeowner know that there's an area that will require attention.
So that's good to know, because I heard the story that they were renovating the house, and guess what? The contractors, one of the handymen, whatever contractors, they have put in something in the sewer, and then they just flashed it. Oh my God, everything happened. Like they just came back in the house, the floors and the basement, everything was just like. So if something happened like that, then you guys will come and take care of that as well, or no?
No.
It is just-
No.
it is
We are just
for
we are an inspection company. We don't do remediation.
Don't do any of those.
We only have pest control service and home inspection service. That's it. Anything that we will do is basically, our goal is to provide as much information we can for the home buyer to make a confident home buying decision. So all the services that we do they revolve around that guideline. So we will provide information. Now, how it's going to be taken care of, that would be something that a plumber.
It's the same as a home inspection.
Yeah, just like home inspection. Yeah.
That's a good addition.
Yeah. That's about it from me. You can stop recording, and I'm going.
Thank you, Ron. It was awesome. We appreciate
No.
it.